What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? We are here, the sales process. And I'll tell you what, I have been waiting to film this section because I'm just super excited about this. There's so much value that's coming your way in these next 9, 10, 11, 12 videos. Make sure you are taking notes copiously on this section. Make sure you are paying attention because this is crucial. What you're about to learn here may be able to double, triple, quadruple the amount of sales that you bring in. Because if you understand the sales process well, and you understand how to conduct a professional sales call properly, this can take your close rates from 5, 10% to 30 or 40%, and that's going to impact your bottom line, and that's going to impact the amount of people that you're able to help with your product. So bear with me. First thing what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the entire sales process, and then in the next videos I'm going to break it down one by one, each section, what you should be doing to effectively conduct a sales call, what you should do before the call, and what you should do after the call. So we have this big lucid spark diagram here, and I'm going to work through it in a minute. So like I said, make sure you are taking notes on this. There also will be a link to this underneath this video as well. So pre-call. Now, a lot of times people make the mistake of just hopping on the phone and starting talking and not having any structure about what they're actually going to talk about. Well, before you even get on the call with anyone, you should be aiming to get 7 hours of content in front of them. Case studies, testimonials, high-value videos, potentially discovery calls, because when you do that and you put content in front of people, when they get on the phone with you, they're much more likely to actually convert because they know who you are, and it doesn't even feel like selling a lot of the times. And what it should be is qualifying. That's a lot of what you're doing in this call, is making sure the people on the other side of the phone are actually qualified to purchase the thing that you have to offer. So this is super important, and we'll hit this in the rest of the program a bunch of times. At this point, you probably heard me say this over and over again, the 7-hour rule, making sure 7 hours of content is in front of those leads before you even get on the phone with them. That's super important to having your system run effectively. Now, let's talk about pre-call. So someone comes in, they schedule a call with you, they get automations, they get emails, they get Calendly messages, they get text messages from you with high-value content, they get a confirmation message, maybe they get a case study and a testimonial sent to them, a couple YouTube videos they've seen. Now, what you want to do is you want to get these touch points in right after they schedule a call, right? So between the time they schedule a call and between the time that they talk to you, they should be getting content sent to them once or twice a day, every single day until that call, so they can get to that 7 hours so that when you do get on the call with them, you're in a much better position to be successful on the sales call. Now, pre-call ritual, and I'll talk about this in a little bit in more depth, but you really should be priming your mind, getting yourself into the right frame of mind as you're entering into a sales call. You want to make sure that you're showing up professionally, showing up as the figure of authority on that call, and also priming your mind to be in the right state, whether that's meditating or taking a walk or clearing your head or letting out a loud woo or a scream or whatever it has to be. You want to make sure that you're bringing a good, strong level of energy to that call with you, because that's going to come across to the other person on the other side of the phone. If you're tired, if you're sleepy, if you're settled back, if your voice is monotone, if you're not very excited to be there, the person on the other side of the line is going to sense that. When you are on the phone with someone, that is the first line. That is a window into your business. So if they are getting vibes from you that are lazy, lethargic, tired, they're going to expect that the product that you have to offer is going to be similar to the way that you're conducting yourself. So make sure you're doing whatever you have to do to bring energy into your body, and so that you can move forward confidently and comfortably into the call. So all of the pre-call stuff is done. They've gotten 7 hours of content. They've gotten a bunch of touch points from you. You've gotten yourself into the right state of mind. Now it's time for you to actually hop on the call and start selling and qualifying the lead who you've talked to. First thing you want to do is set the stage. So before you're doing anything, you're not building rapport yet, you're not asking, how their grandma is, where they're living, you're not doing any of that stuff yet. You're doing two things first. You're building micro yeses and you're building your figure of authority. So a couple questions to ask are, hey, is this still a good time for you? Or, hey, normally this call is going to run 30, 45 minutes or so. Is that good for you? And you're just developing those micro yeses, getting them used to saying yes so that when you get to the end of the call, they're also going to say yes and purchase the product that you have to offer. Something else that's super, super important is building your figure of authority. You are the expert on this call. You are in control of this call. You are the person who has the solution to the problem that the lead on the other side of the phone is having. So make sure you are showing up as such. Make sure you are maintaining control and maintaining that figure of authority throughout the entire call. The next thing you're going to want to do here is set the agenda of the call. You want to make them understand that, hey, we're just here so that I can make sure that you're a good fit for our program. I want to get to know you a little bit better. I want you to understand clearly and transparently what we have to offer, and also let them know that you will be expecting some sort of decision from them at the end of the call. And you can simply say something like, hey, once we get to the end of the call, I'll definitely leave plenty of time for you to ask any questions you have. I want to make sure everything is crystal clear for you. And once we get to that point, I'll really just flip this back over to you, and you can make a decision whether you want to be part of it or not. Does that sound good? And 9 times out of 10, they're going to say, absolutely sounds good. Probably more than 9 times out of 10. Occasionally, there'll be a little bit of friction here, but from my experience, it's very rare. And those people who put up that friction usually aren't qualified anyway, and they'll say something like, well, I just want to know the price or this, that, and the other, and say, hey, how much is it? How much does it cost? Just step back and say, whoa. Listen, John, before we even get to that point, it's really important for us to make sure that we're actually working with the right people. So it's not fair to me, it's not fair to my team to talk about pricing when we're not even sure if this would be the right thing for you. Is that fair? And usually that'll quell some of the friction, if there is any there. But if done properly, the vast, vast majority of the time, there won't be any friction here. Now you want to get into rapport building. And I've seen people do sales completely wrong before, where they go right in and they spend 5 minutes talking about rapport building. Hey, where are you from? Oh, New York. Awesome. I'm a Yankees fan too. Did you see the game last night? Oh, yeah, my cousin's over there. Oh, that stuff really, on a sales call, does not matter very much at all. At the end of the day, what you want to do is have 1 or 2 minutes of very brief and quick rapport. You also want to remember that you are the doctor. You are the figure of authority. So a minute or 2 of small talk here, and then boom, get right back to business and help them solve their problems. Something else you don't want to do is you do not want to get friend-zoned. You don't want to get into a 15-minute dialogue talking about, we went to college in the same place and we did all this stuff together and you know this person and oh, have you heard of them? That is not helping you. That is removing the angle and the line of the call that you want to stay on. So make sure to not do too much rapport building. Of course, you don't want to be brash. You don't want to be, completely ignoring what they're saying, but you want to move forward with the call, hit some quick rapport and go forward. A question that I usually like to ask is, okay, awesome. So where are you calling from today, John? And that's really it. And they'll say, oh, Wisconsin. Okay, great. That's really cool. I have a friend actually who lives in Wisconsin as well. So, and then move on to the call. It really can be as simple as that. Do not waste too much time in rapport building. At the end of the day, this is a business meeting, so treat it as such. And then from there, what you want to do is set intentions with radical transparency. Let them know that we're going to start moving forward with the call and that you are going to remain radically transparent with them throughout the duration of the call. All right, so the next section we are going to hit is section 2 of the sales call, investigating and qualifying. So what we've just done is we've set the stage. We are the figure of authority on this call. We are in control. We are running this business meeting. Now we want to investigate and qualify. And these are the BANT questions. And this doesn't come from me. This is a well-known sales methodology. But we want to get the answers to these 4 questions: budget, authority, need, and time frame. How much money do they have to spend? Are they the authority or the decision maker on the call? Do they have a need for the product that we have to offer? And what is the time frame that they will be able to make a decision? Because if we get in here and they say, yeah, I can't make any decisions without my business partner, then we can end the call right there, because we don't want to go through an entire sales call to find out at the end that, well, they need their business partner to actually make this decision in the first place. So these are the first 4 questions, the BANT questions that we are going to ask first. Once we get more information about them and their situation, now we want to start digging and invoking some pain points. And this is where, marketing and sales really at the end of the day are very much the same. We're invoking pain points, we're showing them the transformation that we can provide, and then we're moving forward to close the deal. So there's tons of questions, and I'll go into this much more in depth about what you can do to ask these types of questions. So, what struggles are you having in your business right now? What issues have you had? What have you tried before that hasn't worked? Why isn't it working? And a really, really good question to ask here is just why. They might say something, they might say, hey, Brad, yeah, I've been trying to, build this health and wellness program, but I've really been struggling and I'm not sure what to do. Well, why is that? Well, I haven't really figured out what's next, and I've tried a couple things, but, every time I take it to market, nobody wants to buy it. Well, why don't they want to buy it? Well, because blah, blah, blah. And then you just keep getting more information, and you'll find that 3, 4, 5 times, if you just say why, you'll actually get the answer, because this is just natural human psychology. People have their barriers built up. So what we're doing when we're asking questions, we're asking why, and we're digging into them a little bit, is we're bringing those barriers down so we can actually get the information that we want out of them. So once we've done this, we've done the BANT questions, we've dug into them, invoked some pain points, got some information from them, we want to start painting the picture, right? Think about the transformation, where they are now, where they're looking to go. So we want to establish where they are now and then paint the picture of where they're going to go. So you want to ask questions to have the lead clearly explain where they are trying to get to. And a good question that I like to ask is, so what really is that ideal life or that ideal situation that you're looking to get yourself to? And a lot of the times they'll say, well, I want to travel, or I want to, go with my family to this place, or go with my family to that place, or quit my job, etc. You should be writing these things down, because you can reference these at the end of the call. If you're getting some sort of objection at the end of the call, you can reference this and say, well, John, didn't you say that you wanted to travel with your family and you wanted to quit your 9-to-5 job? Do you see how what we have to offer can help you do that? So this is a really good point, and really this whole section, you should be taking tons and tons of notes, because you can revisit this at the end of the call. And the next thing you want to do here is gain permission or disqualify. Very important here. If the lead is not qualified, if you've asked a bunch of questions, they don't have the funds, they don't really align with the product that you have, this is where the call ends. There's no need to move forward into pitching them. If you find that they're not qualified, say, hey, thanks a lot, I appreciate your time, but I don't think that you're the right fit for this at this time, but if you need anything, definitely let me know, and maybe they'll come back 3 months, 6 months, a year from now and actually purchase what you have to offer. If they are, ask for permission to move forward with the pitch. And something that I like to do is just kind of see where they're at. So I might say something like, hey, so I really just want to flip this over to you, John, just so we have a baseline. So what exactly do you know about the program that we have to offer? And they might say, well, Brad, I know this, I saw this video, I saw that. And then you have a baseline to work off of. Or they might say, to be honest, Brad, I've only seen one video. I don't really know much about anything that you guys do. Can you explain it to me? And then you can start moving forward into the pitch. All right, so here we are moving ourselves into pitching. So this is super, super important. We help X to achieve Y without Z. This is the first thing you're going to do when you're pitching someone. So I'll be writing these down. I'll usually on a sales call when I take notes, I'll literally write, we help blank to achieve blank without blank. And you are just going to tell them back exactly what they've told you up to this point in the call. We help small personal brands to build digital products without having to run paid ads and without having to have huge social media followings. Or maybe you have a health product and they told you, certain things. We help middle-aged women to lose 35 pounds without having to work out 7 hours a day and do extreme dieting and all those crazy things. So whatever they're telling you, whatever information that they're giving you, that's how you're going to answer this we help X to achieve Y without Z. Now you want to make sure that it's actually an honest answer to what they're saying. Like if they tell you something that you can't actually help them with, absolutely do not go in here and just say some random thing. But if you know that you can help them and they've already told you these things, leverage the information that they've told you and just send it right back to them. And a lot of times they'll be like, wow, that's exactly who I am. I am that middle-aged mother who's looking to lose 40 pounds and I don't want to work out 7 hours a day. That sounds like me. And that's when you're in a really good position to move forward with the call. Now, the next thing we want to do here is we want to explain the features of the product or the program and the benefits that it offers. A lot of times I've seen salespeople make mistakes where they over-explain features. We can do this with SEO and we can help you do this with your back-end systems and building CRMs and blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, the lead wants to know how those features can benefit them. So yes, explain what the features are and also explain what the benefits will be to them. Make sure you're not getting too technical here because you can get caught in a loophole. Remember, you're the expert. They don't know everything about what you're talking about. So you need to make sure that you're not speaking to them as if they know everything that you do because they can't. And if they did, then they wouldn't be on the phone with you. Also, make sure you can back up your claim. You can do something like insert case studies and testimonials here. You can show examples. You can say, hey, we did this with this person and they had this result. We did this with that person and they had that result. Oh, did you see the case study that we sent you 2 days ago with Jenny and she did this, that, and the other? You can definitely reference these things here and then back them up as well. And then what you want to do next is really just a high-level overview of the mechanism. And by mechanism, I mean, what are you actually going to do to provide the result? Is it going to be an online course? Is it going to be one-on-one coaching? Is there going to be a group coaching element? Is it a mastermind community? Keep it high level and briefly explain what that mechanism will be. You also want to make sure that the lead is crystal clear on what your offer is and how it can help them. Remember to remain super, super transparent here. And next thing you want to do is really just work into a little bit of clarification Q&A and lead yourself into the close. The confused buyer does not buy. That is not a word there. So make sure that everything is very clear to them. And usually what I'll say is, awesome, John. Just wanted to take a pause here. I know that's a ton of information. I'm really just going to flip this back over to you and just open it up for any questions that you do have. And this is where you can clarify the offer and fill in any of the gaps that they don't have. Now, something that you want to do here when you're answering these clarification questions is be brief and direct. So you don't want to go on a 5-minute, 10-minute technical tangent on the answer to the question. Just state the direct answer to the question and then stop talking. And then if they ask another question, state the direct answer to the question and then stop talking. And this is a really good place to leverage the power of silence because you can just sit here, say the answer, and then just sit. And they're either going to be writing down, thinking of more questions, or they're going to say something like, yeah, okay, all right, so what's next? And that's essentially permission for you to lead yourself into the close. And you don't just want to start saying the price immediately as we get to this closing section here in a minute. What you want to do is you want to have some sort of lead in and say, hey, John, okay, awesome. So if you don't have any more questions at this point, we're going to move into the investment side of this whole thing. Is that cool with you? and just lead them in and say, hey, okay, now we got everything answered. Let's start talking about how much this whole thing costs. And then we are working into close. So when you're closing, this is super important to leverage the power of silence. So you're going to explain why they're such a good fit if they are. Hey, John, you're a perfect fit for this. Frank and Johnny, they've come through our program. They were exactly like you when they came in, and now they're doing X, Y, Z. And because of that and everything that you told me, you are the perfect fit for this program. And the total price of everything that I just said is $10,000. And then you're just going to remain silent. And this could be 10 seconds. This could be 30 seconds. This has been, for me, I've had a call that was 5 minutes of silence. You do not want to say anything after you've revealed the price, and just let that silence sit, because whoever speaks first loses. And another thing you want to do, when you're saying the price, you want to be super confident in what that price is, because you can deliver on the value. It's $10,000. Boom. If you're there and you're saying, oh, it's $10,000, and then, they're going to sense that in your voice. They're going to sense your lack of confidence, and that's going to signal to them subconsciously that you may not actually be able to deliver on that $10,000 offer. So make sure you're stating the price with supreme confidence, and then just remaining silent and waiting for them. And something that'll happen here, I've had this happen a bunch before, where people will go like, hey, Brad, are you still there? After 2 or 3 minutes of silence. And you say, yeah, sorry, I was just taking some notes. And then you start moving forward with the next part of the call. And usually this is where I will take a bunch of notes as well. After I state the price, I'll take a bunch of notes and see and try to put the pieces together and move forward with the call. So this is an important part here. So if they object, move into objection handling. And there's literally hundreds of objection handling questions that you can cover. Most closes will have some sort of objection, or at least clarification needed before the deal actually happens. So what you want to do is you want to keep looping back and objection handling. So you're answering the question and you're sending them back in, going for the close again, answering the question, going back in for the close again. And you're going to want to do this multiple times. And when you are objection handling, you always want to answer the objection with a question and turn it back onto them. Because if they're just bombarding you with objections, you're losing your figure of authority, and then you're back on the ropes. So you want to answer their question, send it back onto them. So many common objections. I don't have the money. I don't have the time. I don't have this, that, and the other, whatever it may be. I need to talk to my spouse. I need to sleep on it, pray on it. There's so many objections. Now, if you get to a point where the deal is not closed, then, this section here, if you're new to sales, this takes time to develop. This takes a lot of confidence to develop, because what you're doing here is you're asking difficult questions. And objection handling, if you're not taking copious notes, and if you're not referencing back what they've given you in the dig section or the investigating and qualifying section, you're not in a great position to handle those objections. So if you're just getting started taking sales calls, you're not going to be perfect here, but you have a lot of opportunity for growth. So if the deal is not closed, you want to make sure that you're tracking your lead in the CRM, and then begin a follow-up sequence that you should have built out. And you want to make sure that you follow up with your leads, because from my experience, about 50% of leads who close will not close on the first call. They might need more time. They might need more information. So make sure you're tracking them in your CRM and sending them follow-up sequences and follow-up message. Now, if they do end up closing, or if they don't have objections, or if they have objections and you've handled them effectively, then you want to send them the link for payment. Make sure that the payment comes through on your end, and then explain the onboarding process. And then once you collect that payment, you want to clearly explain what the next steps are going to be for them, so they don't just feel like, oh, this guy just took my money and now where's he going to go? You want them to know exactly what they're going to get the moment that they send the payment through. And then once they do send the payment through, take them on the next steps. Give them a little bit of an onboarding process. Tell them what's going to happen next so they feel comfortable with the purchase. So that is the entire sales process. And in the next several videos, we're going to work deeply through each of these sections so that the time you get to the end of this, you will be an absolute sales beast.